Yo, hell yeah. Wyatt begins in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yo, welcome to Wyatt. And I'm your host, Wyatt O'Brien Evans. Grrr, woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof. Hey, to all my YouTubers out there, if you like what you see, if you like what you hear, just click that subscribe button at the bottom of your screens. Just click it, click it, click it. I loves to click it. Yeah, I do. Now listen up, y'all. Next week's epi of Wyatt is going to be all about Shattered. Yes, Shattered. My new novel that drops on Saturday, April the 29th. All about Shattered, y'all. So, hey, have your asses up here in your seats to learn all about Shattered. Now, on to today's Wyatt, which shines the spotlight on Mr. Rickey K. Hood, the very, very talented playwright, essayist, educator, and poet. So y'all, let's just get it on. So without further ado, Wyatt welcomes the award-winning poet, educator, essayist, and playwright, Mr. Rickey K. Hood. Talk at me. How the hell are you?
I'm doing hell good. Thank you.
Listen, my pleasure, my friend. Thank you for stopping by, Wyatt. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. I enjoyed that that you appreciate my work.
Yes, you know what? I'm looking for an extra job. So if you want me to be your promotional person, I'm here. We can talk about salary off air.
We can talk off air, yeah, because I can use one.
Okay. There you go. Listen, we all can use as much promotion and publicity as possible. So I totally get you. We'll talk off air. No problem.
Okay, peace. All right.
But anyway, you know what? You're like the Headleys on In Living Color, man, because you wear so many hats. So remember the Headleys, right? Living Color?
No, I don't.
You know, the Jamaican family with all of the jobs, like the father had like 10 jobs.
That was a long time ago. Yeah.
Listen now, don't date me here. You know, I know it was the 90s, but hey, come on now. It's in reruns. It's all over in reruns.
I was a teenager.
Oh, please. Yeah, Ricky, sure. Okay.
In another universe.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay. I'm going to let you slide on that one. Anyway, man, in all seriousness, congratulations on your collections. Take My Hand, Walk With Me, and in due season, a collection of poetry and prose. Both collections have been so well received. Now, we're going to really dissect them a little bit later in the show. But if you would, give us like your 25 words or less elevator pitch about each one of them.
I would say in due season, it is a collection of work that chronicles my life. Even though it's poetry, it's also got some good essays in it. There's essays called Legitimate Discourse on Gay Relationships in Black Community. And it just talks about how being Black in our community is really hard. It's not that easy.
It is. It's hard.
And then I go into Quest for God. It's my religious journey. Then it goes into In Due Season. It chronicles my mother's sickness and to her death, and I think it's a good read because people have said that it speaks to them on a level that they didn't have a chance to express in their own life when they've experienced tragic loss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as for Taking My Hand, Walk With Me, again, that's another walk with me through the years, because it's a collection really of smaller chapbooks that I started writing back in 1993 or something like that. So it's my writing style from when I first started writing poetry and first started being published, all the way up until 2018. And it just shows my writing style pretty much kind of simple to where it became more unique. Because when I first started writing, I was really reading a lot of Langston Hughes, a lot of Paul Laurence Dunbar. Just a lot of the Black classics. And of course, it's just like any artist, you want to imitate them before you find your own voice.
True.
And so I see in that my first book, I was imitating a lot of Paul Laurence Dunbar and Langston, but as you go on, my own voice began to come out, and I think my voice sounds better now than it did back in the 90s.
Right. Yeah, I get that. Boy, you know what? You just opened up so many avenues of conversation that I'm going to dig into right now. Hopefully I can remember everything because, you know, I'm getting older, so I'm becoming senile, you know. Okay, so first of all, again, I have to say that I really researched you online, and you've also given me some of your works as well. And what I was really impressed about, Rickey, is that you've got a really strong fan base out there, and they have given your works, particularly these two, Take My Hand, Walk With Me, and In Due Season, a collection of poetry and prose. They've given you so many kudos and rave reviews. And I think one or two do talk about how how your writing has evolved. So let me ask you, let's dig a little deeper about your evolution as a talent. And then after that, let's dig deeper into legitimate discourse.
Okay. Let me see. I have to pull something up before I can just kind of look at it. This is the one, Taking My Hand, Walk With Me. And what's really good in this? Oh man, it's just got some simple ideas in this poem, in this collection, because it's from the book In a Little Corner of a Black Man's Mind Stand I. And that was the name of my very first chapbook, and that was back in 95.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think 95, something like that. Yeah, 95. And there was a lot of, I think, simple ideas, but it came together. It's one poem in here that people like. It was one gentleman, he read it and he really started crying because, and I did not expect that. And it was called, trying to find it. It was called In a Little Corner of My Mind.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's not that long, but I don't want to bore you.
No, because I read that one. It impacted me as well. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, when that one is autobiographical because my father, he packed up and left when I was around 2 years old. Oh, and wow. I was the youngest of 7. And well, I'll go ahead and get personal. I'll bring your audience into my life. to my dysfunction.
Yeah, because listen, look, listen. This whole show is about dysfunction, my brother. So look, look. My audience is all about dysfunction. We're nosy, and we always say inquiring minds want to know. So please go right
So
ahead.
you're going to know. Well,
Yeah.
my mom and father, they were married, 7 children. And I have no idea what was going on between them, because, these are adult issues, but the marriage for them just wasn't working.
Right.
And one day he gave my older brother $20 and he walked out the house and never came back.
Oh, man.
Now, of course, we see him every once, we saw him over the years, visitations, but that was it.
Mm-hmm.
$20, and that was our child support.
Oh.
And that was during the years when the men were not forced to pay child support.
Right.
So he was able to get away scot-free. But that poem, in a little corner of my mind, a little child resides, lost in fathers, trapped in a corner and cries. And it just talking about basically, I grew up without a father. Mm-hmm. He came in and out of my life visiting, and he had a habit of lying, and to the point that you couldn't trust him. Basically, the best thing he did for our family was leave.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that until later. The gift that he gave us was his absence.
Right. Absolutely.
But that poem, I guess when people read it, and those who have come from the same background, they didn't know that was going to hit them like that. Because when one of the brothers at work read it, I didn't think nothing of it. I just thought, just reading it. And by the time he finished, he just broke down in tears. He says, "That's me. That's my life." And I was like, I really didn't know how to respond because I wasn't expecting that type of reaction.
Well, Rickey, I had a similar reaction after reading it because my father left the family when I was like about 4. He and my mother were not getting along. So he just left, went to New York. And the next time I saw him was like 2 years after at the funeral. Mm. And the thing that really struck me was not having seen him for a couple of years. And then this man was totally white. His hair, he was only like 45, but he had such a hard life for whatever reason. Mm. His hair was white. And that's what I still remember in dreams and nightmares. So I totally understand sort of what you went through because I had a similar situation. So that's why that particular poem impacted me the way it did. It struck home for me. So,
and what I don't know what is it about New York and runaway fathers, because that's what my father went to.
Him too.
Him too. Queens, New York.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, my dad went to the Bronx, so it must be. What is it like? Does New York like just is New York a magnet that attracts these people?
It's a haven. It's a haven like for runaway fathers.
Yeah. Look, I can laugh about it now, but it's funny in a way, and it's so true. Mm. I get. Okay. Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And again, I laugh at me and my father. We okay now. Because right. I see him. He finally moved to Charlotte. Before my mother passed, him and my mom, reconciled. They still became friends. They were still friends. So they stayed friends. He remarried, and even his new wife and my mom became friends. So and of course he had a second family, and my half sisters, I love them to death. Their family. So,
okay.
So yeah, he might have done that. And yeah, he might have had some outside kids, but those kids had no power over coming into this world. And I don't blame them for nothing. They're my flesh and blood. So
Absolutely.
they're my flesh and blood. I used to be the baby of the family, but I'm not anymore. So now I got younger sisters, and we meet, try to get together all the holidays that we can. And my father, he's now 91 years old. He's going to be 92. He has
Wow.
outlived he have outlived two wives and three children.
Mm.
No, four children.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister is helping to take care of him. And me, I just visit because I don't know whether I love him or not, but I do respect him. I honor him.
I get it. You've got conflicting feelings. I totally understand it. But it seems like for you, it's sort of turned out like a happy ending in a way, right?
Yeah, because you have to forgive. Like I
Yeah.
said, I don't know if I love him or not because hell, he's done a lot of shit. But I have forgiven him.
Mm-hmm.
I have forgiven him because you can't change the past. Once what's done, it's done.
Right. I totally get it. And you really have to forgive, because if you don't, that's such a burden. It's like this crushing weight that's on you. It's like this albatross around your neck, that you can't get rid of. And yet you've got to forgive.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's
It
not
isn't.
worth it. I remember Oprah. Was it? Yeah, it was Oprah. She said that she had some grudge against some woman that did something to her years earlier. And every time she just thought about that woman, she just had this grudge, this grudge, this grudge. And years later, she saw this woman,
Uh-huh.
and she was coming out of the store. She was well dressed, just having, enjoying life type of thing. And Oprah walked up to her, and the woman did not recognize Oprah.
Mm.
She was like, and Oprah realized this woman has gone on about her life. She don't even know who I am. And here I am mad at her all this time, and she don't even know who I am. I've wasted all these years, and I finally see her, and she don't even know me. And she realized that was a mistake. She let that woman build a nest in her head, and she just
Uh-huh.
kept feeding it for no reason. And when I heard that story, I was like, damn, that's true. People try to build you build nests for people in your own head, thinking that they're
Uh-huh.
going to remember you. In reality, they just go on about their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to now move on to something that has less drama.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Now, it's propitious that you're appearing on Wyatt on April 1st, because April is designated as National Poetry Month. So,
I thought you were going to
in
say April
celebration,
Fools.
listen, Mr. Hood is National Poetry Month, April. Anyway, in celebration, I'm going to read you a quote, and then I'm going to ask you to give us your thoughts. Okay, are you ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, here's the first quote. The first quote is from poet, novelist, and playwright Paul Engle. He states, and I quote, "Poetry is ordinary language raised to the nth power. Poetry is boned with ideas, nerved and blooded with emotions, all held together by delicate, tough skin of words," end quote. What's your take on that?
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. Um, there are different ways you can write poetry. There's some poetry that comes out like spirit, and there's some poetry that you have to literally build, like in that quote, you have to build like a building or a scaffold. And those poems are not easy because you have to sit down and construct them without inspiration. And I don't like those poems, but sometimes they come out to be the best ones because it really, like the one I just read in a little corner, I grind that one out. And poetry is not something that you can appreciate on a just mundane level. You have to sit down and actually, poetry demands attention. So that's one reason why poetry is a hard read, because it demands attention.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Now, before we dig deeper into your literary career and we get even deeper into Take My Hand, Walk With Me, and In Due Season, a collection of poetry and prose, let's travel through the corridors of time so that our nosy audience can find out a little bit more about your backstory. You ready?
Go ahead.
So where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a Southern boy. Charlotte is nothing but a big country city. Wow. I love my city. It's a major city. It's not the country, but it has that country feel.
Okay. Cool. Now,
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you please
and I'm not, well, I I was born in 60, so I'm 62.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, we wanted to know that because we're nosy. Anyway, now I always get a chuckle out of asking this question because I find that it gives us a window on what you are now like as an adult. So the question is, what was Rickey like as a little boy, a little nipper? Give us like 3 qualities, attributes that best describe you.
A pest?
No.
Oh yeah, because I was the youngest one. I was spoiled rotten.
Wow.
My God, I was my sisters could not have a date unless I was somewhere in the room. Basically, my mom just spoiled me, and basically, I had too much freedom for because me and my brother was 2.5 years older than me, and he was my best friend, and we just went everywhere together. And even though we were way too young, we just went everywhere together.
Okay.
I'm 4 years old and he's 6, and a 6-year-old supposed to be taking care of me.
It sounds like there's a backstory behind that backstory.
Oh yeah, it was funny. I even wrote about this. It was in another book, but we looking at some magazines. It was years ago. I was maybe about 3 years old or something like that, 3. And we saw some, of course, some money in the magazine. We saw, dollar bills and pennies and nickels, and we thought it was real money. And so we cut it out. We cut it out, and we actually went to the store to buy some candy.
No.
And believe it or not, and here it is. I'm about 3 or 4 years old, and my brother is about 6, and we didn't know no better. We bought candy and put our paper quarters and paper dimes. And the people, and I still remember, she just looked and laughed, the woman at the thing, and the other people in there just kind of laughed, and we didn't know why they were laughing. And she gave us the candy in the bag, and we left. We paid for our candy. And I was like, and after years later, I'm like, oh my God, that woman was so nice. She let us pay for that candy because we didn't steal it. We paid for it. with what we thought was money.
That's funny and charming. Okay. Let's fast forward to college. I believe you attended the University of North Carolina at Charlotte.
Yes, I did.
You earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in Religious Studies. So what compelled you to select that major, Rickey? And how did your college experience shape you into who you are today?
Well, I can say this here. Back in the 80s, and you can read this in my book, In Due Season. It's called Quest for God. And back in the 80s, I was very, oh my God, religious. I was just born again religious. And that became a problem for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it became, I think it became a problem for me because it was just like, I couldn't do nothing unless I read the Bible about, when you get the wrong churches and get the wrong spiritual teachers, if you don't get the right guidance, people get fucked up. Okay. So what happened later on, I just kind of let it all go. I kind of let the church go. I converted to Islam.
Okay.
And I converted to Islam back in '93, and I was practicing Muslim for a good long time. But Islam has the same problems as Christianity. Too much religion, too much. You can't. And being gay, I'm like, hell, I'm going to get some anyway. But
well, that brings me to this really salient question. How did you reconcile being a Muslim, being in Islam, and then being gay or same gender loving?
I ignored it. I ignored Islam. Hell, when I was Muslim, hell, I got some good dick. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. No. But how did you?
And from other Muslims, it found out Islam ain't no different from anybody else. Muslims are human beings, and men are men.
So you can separate the teachings from. So you can. So in other words, you can compartmentalize. You can.
I realized this here.
Or cherry pick.
Well, I stopped cherry picking, but I was cherry picking at one time.
Okay.
Then I went to the University of North Carolina and studied religion. Because I went because I didn't want to be a preacher. I just wanted to know what is it that I've been, programmed to believe. What's going on with all this. And once I understood that basically the Bible and even the Quran are man-made constructions that human beings have agreed to believe in. If you agree to believe in something, then it's not your fault that what it is you're believing in, it's what it is because you have agreed to believe in it.
Right.
But you have to understand that it is a man-made construction that you have agreed to. I just decided later on, I don't want to agree with this anymore. I don't necessarily want to worship a God who hates me and waiting for me to die for he can punish me for being myself.
That's heavy.
Or punish me for being what he created me to be, which is not. And in Islam, it's like, well, God created you to be this way, but you don't have to be that way. And I'm like, but if he created me to be this way, if I'm a teapot and a teapot is trying to become a coffee cup, why? I'm like, if God created me this way, but he wants me to be a teacup, that don't make any sense.
I get it.
And so later on, I just kind of evolved myself out of religion. So right now, I consider myself, I'm not, I can't say I'm atheist. I'm maybe that far from it, but I do.
Agnostic, maybe?
Agnostic.
Right.
Because I'm like, I don't know if there's a God or not, but if there is a God, I hope to God he's not the God of the Bible, because the God of the Bible is really, really somebody that don't know what the hell he wants.
Okay. I have got to ask this question. I'm going to dig a little deeper here. Now, okay, so you're saying that Muslims were serving up much dick.
Yeah. Muslims are no different from anybody else. They hide in closets just like everybody else.
Okay.
They hide in closets just like everybody else. You know, they fucking each other too. And
okay.
And so it's nothing different. It's the same thing that's going on in church. The preacher that's fucking half the men in his congregation. You know, it's human beings. Men will find men, and that's just it.
Okay, everybody. Mr. Hood clarified all that for y'all. So, I mean, you know, that's the way it is.
That's the way it is. And that's one reason why I don't, when it comes down to religion, it's just so fucking it's just man-made. It's just so man-made. But that's just, I'm not here to preach to your congregation. Believe what the hell you want.
I get it. Okay. Thank you for that, Mr. Hood. Now, let's move on to Take My Hand, Walk With Me, and In Due Season, a collection of poetry and prose. Again, folks are extremely enthusiastic about both collections. What was your inspiration, Rickey, and motivation to write both of them?
Well, like I said, for In Due Season, that was autobiographical. My motivation was just this artistic expression. Every poem in there is kind of individualized. I can't really to look at it. I got to see it to exactly tell you what the poem is. You know what the poem expressed in me. The very first poem I ever published, I won an award for, was called Autumn's Leaves.
Oh, great. Okay.
And that was back in the 90s. And what inspired me was just writing a poem about the Black experience coming to America, slavery, and what we had to deal with as a people. And it won a contest. It came in second place. You know, came that close to winning first, but it came in second place. And that's what inspired me to continue to write. My brother, when he read Autumn's Leaves, he suggested all of these changes, and I said, okay, and I changed nothing. And he's like, oh, it came in second place. He said, I'm not going to make no more suggestions to you anymore because you know what you're doing. But Autumn's Leaves is during a time in my life when I was really understanding what Black history. Even though I was a grown man, here in the South, or I guess anywhere, we don't really understand Black history. And I was learning in college because I also got my degree and got an associate's degree at Central Piedmont Community College, and I was taking some African American history courses, and it was then I began to understand what was really the richness and difficulty of what our history is like. It was not just Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks. It was slavery. It was manipulation. It was using religion as tool against the people. Found out that a lot of people that I found out in Europe, before they conquered a nation or subjugated a people, the Europeans learned to always send in missionaries. Missionaries were the first line to soften the people before they came in to conquer the people. And I thought that was just like like something that was said, until I went to college and found out that was a standard tactic, and it still is. And so writing my early writings was really just expressing my understanding of Black history, and I started writing about that. I can see why a lot of people in the political sphere don't want African Americans to know their history, because it does changes the way you see life and the way you see the place you live. You see it with more true eyes.
Well, just like they say, knowledge is power. If you have misinformation, disinformation, if you don't have enough of the truth, you got a problem.
Yeah, the truth, like you say, what is truth? Truth is whatever you say it is until people believe it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a really good point. Oh, I have a question for you. Which of the two volumes is nearest and dearest to your heart, and why? Or are each of those children the same to you?
I would say they're the same. In Due Season is special to me because it talks about my mother's sickness and her death.
Right.
But that's been almost 20 years ago. And I have recovered from that trauma because she died in my arms.
Oh man, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
that's tough.
No, I look at it as a blessing now. And to tell you the truth, my brother died in my arms as well. The brother I love. I was holding him when they took him off life support. So I have held the hand of my mom and my brother as they transitioned. And
yeah,
well, I ain't gonna get into that. I don't want to cry on your show, but
no, I get it. No, do.
But it's very special. Excuse me. And my latest writings, I talk about my brother's past. I got a poem about when he passed, and it was called "Why Did You Leave Me?" And but my brother also was a poet. He was not like me. He wasn't published, but
okay.
Right. He wrote some stuff, a little volume that he never published. And after he died, I did collect his stuff and I did publish his work. And can I show you how the cover of it?
Please show us. I really appreciate
this is that. My brother's work. It's called
Oh man.
Life's Chain, a collection of poems. And it is so good. He had his own way of expressing himself, very different from me.
Okay.
And my brother's much more religious than I was, but he had little proverbs that he used to write down, and I read those proverbs and I love it. And there's one that always sticks to mind, and he said that people know how they treat you. And then I said, that is true.
It is true.
Yeah. When someone don't treat you right, it's not because it's accidental. They know what they're doing.
Oh yeah, it's
They
calculated.
know how they are treating you.
Of course. And like I think Maya Angelou says, when someone shows you who they are, believe it.
Believe it. Because that's who they are.
That's who they are. Absolutely. Okay. Would you do us the pleasure of reading some of your work?
Love to. Don't want to. Let me read. Find something. This is one I wrote after this is when my brother passed, and
okay,
and it's called Alone. And this is when I wrote this after I left the funeral home, and I was sitting with my brother by myself, and he was laid out in the casket in front of me.
Okay.
And I just cried. And the first thing I said was, "Why did you leave me?" Oh man, I don't know if I can get through this poem. Okay, I'm gonna get through this poem, but it's called Alone. Why did you leave me? I asked you. You gave me no reply, laying quietly. And I sat alone with you, alone. This unbelieving reality lying still before me. My tears were not enough. My cries, no one heard, not even you. And I sat alone with you, my brother, alone. Why did you leave me? And, oh, wow. And that's, and sometimes I still ask that same question. Why did you leave me? Because I love my brother. Oh, don't got me crying out.
No. Look, I can relate because, I lost my mother because she was, like I said, my father died when I was very young. So she was, both parents, and I lost her 25 years ago. And it's still, I asked the same question. So I totally get it. And I want to really thank you, Rickey, for sharing that. That's powerful and that's poignant. You wrote a play called The Life and Poetry of Maya Angelou.
Yeah, and Still I Rise.
Exactly. And it was performed at the Smithsonian Institution and Anacostia Community Museum. So tell us about that and give us your inspiration for penning it.
Okay. I worked, that's where I retired from. I retired from the Smithsonian.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a federal officer and I retired from there. But I was working at that museum, and I was talking to the coordinator, the programs coordinator, and I told him I wrote, and I showed him some of my stuff, some of my writings, and he gave me a challenge. He said, "Can you write something for Maya Angelou for for Poetry Month?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yeah." So it's a few months out, and I said, "Yeah, give me a chance. I will put something together." And so I started doing some research. I had to read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. I had to research some of her other autobiographical books, and I had to do a lot of videos on YouTube and try to get everything in chronological order of what was going on in her life. And I finally started writing the play, and Still I Rise, using all these sources and trying to and writing it as a monologue play. So it's like I'm there as the interviewer, and I had my actress there, Marsha Cole, representing Maya Angelou, and she was fantastic. She represented Maya Angelou telling her life story.
Oh, okay.
And basically telling her story and finding out that a lot of her poems are reflections of what she was going through during the time. So her poems didn't just come from a vacuum. Her poems were coming from her life, like Sounds Like Rain, and it was talking about the poems of her grandmother that helped raise her. Mm-hmm. and other poems about her uncle that also helped raise her, and also the traumas that she was going through when she was raped, and you see the poems that she wrote that reflect these traumas, and I had to weave all of that into the show. Some of that is online on YouTube. Not all of it. Unfortunately, wasn't able to record the whole thing, but about a good 30 minutes of it is online. But it was when I finally put it together, and I presented it to the events coordinator. He fell in love with it, and we put it together and set it up. And we expected maybe about 25, 30 people, because we only set up for chairs, maybe about 50 chairs. And about 200 people were in there. It was like standing room only. And I was like, oh my God, I was nervous. And the show went on, and it was done well. I wrote it, I produced it, I directed her, and it was my very first play. And it just came out. I'm like, I just can't believe how well it came out. So I don't know if I want to do a play again, because writing a play and producing it are two different things.
Oh, my hat is off to you. It's a complicated, intensive process. Wow.
Yeah. I was doing rewrites all the way up until the last day.
I can believe that. Wow. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, I love that. I just love being able to express my talents, and so far, God has blessed me. That the God that I believe in, has blessed me.
Well, you're doing it, my brother. You're doing it. Let me ask you this question. Rickey, we're both published authors, and I always laugh about this particular situation. Whenever I do book tours and seminars, at least one person will ask me, Wyatt, I've got this book in me, but I just don't know how, and I just don't know what to do to get it started. I don't know if I can commit. What do I do? What do I do? And I've released my new book in the end of this month, and I've got a book tour beginning in May. It's Shattered, baby. It's Shattered. That's the name of the book, Shattered. So shameless plug. So my question to you is, how would you answer that aspiring author who just can't seem to get it started?
Oof. Now, my friend Marsha Cole that I told you about, we're still friends to this day. Right. But during that time, she had not written anything, but she had a book in her. She had a collection of poems in her. And I encouraged her to write. And I remember what a friend of mine told me years ago. She said, a writer writes. Mm-hmm. And that's what I told her. A writer writes. If you got something in you, write. Every day, just pick up the pen, whether you feel like it or not, and try to grind out something, whether it makes sense or not, whether it's good or not. Just do something with that pen and paper.
Right.
And she did. And she finally wrote her very first collection of poems called A Light in Dark Places. and it has been doing well. And I helped her to get that book together, get it published, and I really helped her a lot. But some people are kind of lazy. They want you to do the work for them.
Yeah, they too.
Yeah, they want you to do the work for them because you're a published author. So I'm just going to give it to you, and
Right.
you take my work and you make it work for me. And I'm like, no, honey, here's your work back. You do it. Because like my friend Masha, I just gave her encouragement, but I didn't do her work.
Right.
You know, I didn't do her work. And even when it came down to publishing, now I kind of gave her some guidance and hands-on the publishing end because she didn't know what the hell she was doing. But when she did her second book, I'm like, no, honey, you know what to do now. And I'm not going to do that. You go ahead and guide yourself through this. And she did. So so I don't believe in this. There's no such thing as I can't do. If you just stand back, you'll see people, they can do it. If you just leave them alone.
Right. And you know, you've got to, first of all, you got to say to yourself, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do. You have to commit to the idea of doing it. And then you just have to, you've got to eke away time. You've got to put time aside to do it. I don't care what's going on in your life. If you really believe this is your mission and you want to get this done, you've just got to make the time to do it.
That's it. And you cannot do somebody else's work. That's a verse in the Bible, a parable about the five foolish virgins waiting for the bridegroom to come, and they didn't prepare for extra oil. They just assumed that he's going to come soon. But the five wise virgins had extra oil. So when they ran out, they didn't have to go anywhere. They prepared for whatever. And then when the foolish virgins ran out of theirs, it was like, oh, we can ask those who prepared. Can you give us some of your oil? And the virgin said, no, we can't. And I remember I was reading this book called The Road Less Traveled, and M. Scott Peck was using that as an example. And he said, people would think that the wise virgins were selfish and selfish not to share. But he said, no, you can't share your preparation. If you're prepared for something and somebody else is not prepared, you can't share your preparation with someone else.
Right.
It's really you can't, because it's like, if I've studied for a test and you didn't study for a test and you're having trouble with it and I know the answers, why should I share the answers with you?
Right.
You just go ahead and use what you got, and I've used what I got, and I'm going to use my preparation. And so now a lot of people who don't prepare themselves for what they're looking for. And I try to make myself a situation where if I want to write a book and learn how to publish, I prepare myself by studying the subject.
Exactly. Right. Okay. What do you have on tap for the rest of 2023, like projects, appearances, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, I have been in transition so far from living in Maryland to moving down to Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
So I just moved down 4 months ago and trying to get this house in order. So I have not yet prepared anything literarily, but before this year is out, I'm going to start doing hopefully some tours, because I down here when I was living here before, I used to do a lot of lectures for the public library. There was a few rec centers in the center in the area that I used to do poetry readings, and I used to teach, some poetry literature classes at Central Piedmont. So it's a lot of things that I used to do when I was living here before that I hope that I can revamp really soon, because COVID really put an end to a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
Because when I was up in Maryland, I was doing my thing there, and all of a sudden everything shut down.
Yep.
And so, and here in Charlotte, there it's kind of pick and choose. Some things are still shut down. Some things are wide open. So I need to find out what's going on. So my preparation before this year is out is to start rebooting my poetry tours and lectures.
Okay, great. So first of all, give us again the names of those collections and tell us where we can purchase them.
Okay. This is Take My Hand and Walk With Me. You can go to Amazon. This is In Due Season, a collection of poetry and prose, also on Amazon. And also my brother's collection, Life's Chain. And you can also go to my website, which is uniqueversusbooks.com. And you can order.
Okay, repeat that, please.
Repeat that. Uniqueversusbooks.com.
Okay.
And so I hope you visit my website. You can also leave comments. You can read the poetry on there and leave some comments. I hope you go to Amazon and browse and hopefully order some books.
Oh, and social media, my brother. Social media.
And social media.
What is it?
I don't have I have Facebook, but Facebook, I haven't really been using it lately.
Okay.
So really the only thing I have right now is just really my website and my website and Amazon, because because I don't really promote too much on Facebook, because when I was promoting, only thing I was getting was a bunch of bots.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. So when I'm thinking I'm hitting audiences, and really in reality, I'm wasting my money. And then I saw a special. They did a news report about how Amazon was basically ripping off people who were doing advertising on their services.
Whoa. Okay. Wow. That's good to know.
Yeah. You spending all this money I was spending all that money, and basically only one that was clicking on my shit was just bots.
Oh no. 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 Whoa. Thank you for telling us that. Well, Mr. Rickey K. Hood, I want to thank you for stopping by. Wyatt, man, it was a pleasure. You have to come back.
I hope to be back. I enjoyed this conversation.
I did too, because you're just the master blaster.
Well, thank you, Wyatt. It's been really fun talking to you, shedding a few tears, and letting people know that, hell, life goes on. Even when you got a no good father, you can still forgive, and life goes on.
And we now know New York City is known for something else as well.
It's a haven for deadbeat dads.
Mr. Hood, thank you, sir.
Okay, peace out.
Take care.
Okay.
So there you have it. You can find the official Wyatt podcast page at WyattEvans.com, the go-to destination, y'all, for LGBTQ plus news, features, commentary, and entertainment. WyattEvans.com is visited by over 100 countries on the regular. All I can say to that is, hey, baby! And at WyattEvans.com, that's where you'll find my smoking hot, HAWT hot, Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. The latest installment is Frenzy! Yeah, Frenzy! Its predecessor is Rage. All at WyattEvans.com. Now, my listeners, like I said earlier, next week's edition of Wyatt is all about Shattered. I said Shattered. The new sequel in the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels that will be released on Saturday, April the 29th. And I'm going to have this fantabulous virtual Shattered launch party. Yeah, I'm so excited. Just like the Pointer Sister says, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. And I'll give you all of that information next week. So be here. Hey, you can follow me all across social media. My social media is all right there. Poof. All right there for y'all to peruse. So until next week, y'all. Woof, goddammit, woof, 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 woof.